Resilience and adaptability are really, really important qualities. And I'm now going to have a bit of a different discussion from what you've heard so far with Karenjeet Kaur Bains, who is TV's Athena in Gladiators. But I'm going to come and sit next to you, and I might just move this out the way, actually. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a stage set change. I'm very pleased to talk to you for lots and lots of reasons. I gave a speech at my best friend's wedding last September, and because her father had died, so it was a sort of father of the bride speech, and I had to do a lot of research about her background. Anyway, where this is going is I discovered that as a child she really wanted to be a gladiator. And do you remember, Tilly? I can't remember the name that she'd even named herself.
Oh, wow.
It was a thing. And so I just wonder, how do you become a gladiator? Like, what was your path?
Very good question. I think I'm very proud I can stick that on the CV now. It's going to really bring me some great heights. But yeah, I think my story and my journey, I have two kind of strings to my bow. So one side of me is the sporting side of me. I'm a Commonwealth powerlifting champion and Guinness World Record holder.
Wow.
So very much a strong woman. However, I'm also an ACA chartered accountant, so I kind of live two sides of the story.
I have to say, they're not careers that
I know.
naturally seem to
I'm
fit
kind of
one
glad
another.
I do, given your talk earlier. I think I'm soon going to be replaced by AI, so I'm glad that I have this.
Not for powerlifting.
Yeah, there we go, though. That is exactly why I became a gladiator. But yeah. I'm lucky to have been born into a very sporty family. So my dad is actually my coach. He's a former bodybuilder and powerlifter. And I want you to think Rocky. Okay, with my story. Very humble background, nothing fancy at all. So I trained at the bottom of the garden in the home gym. I competed and set my world record even there. And my dad's an engineer, created a lot of the dumbbells by hand, like from cogs and gears as well. So very innovative. I'm very proud to come from such humble backgrounds and just show that with grit, hard work, resilience, determination, you can do anything you want in life. But I'm also blessed to have two older twin brothers. They were 400-metre hurdlers at national level when I was a kid. And that put the pressure on me to be really good at sport. So I started out my sporting journey in athletics. I was a sprinter. They used to call me Bullet Bains at school. So I was I nicked that off my brother as well. I was very much the, very academic individual, stereotypical Indian girl, plaits with her hair, very nerdy and into her books. And I remember being on the start line for my races, and I often felt that feeling of being underestimated immediately, because you see somebody similar to you or Chat Thea, coming from a diversity background of my stature, standing there and automatically like, she's not going to win this race. They didn't know what was coming though. So they didn't know I was a trained athlete. So my dad coached me in athletics for 10 years up until 17. So I was 3 times Warwickshire champion in the 300 metres hammer throwing. I had 7 consecutive school records. The other girls hated me for it. But I was very much leading from that kind of space.
And hammer throwing as a woman, was that, how did you get into that? Again, was that your brothers and your dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving you one to try in the garden?
Yeah, so my mum, I can say I've got a very good pedigree of genetics. My mum comes from a family of wrestling champions.
Wow, okay. So that's how you become a gladiator.
Yeah. So that's also, she came through a lot of barriers and wasn't allowed to pursue her education or sporting kind of journey when she was younger. But in her mid-40s, won 5 golds and 4 silver medals in track and field. So it's never too late. I'm just saying, it's never too late. So I always say she's the real gladiator. And my parents argue about where I got my kind of achievements from. I laugh because whenever you do anything good in life, it's like, my daughter. When it's anything bad, it's not my kid. So that's how I am. 17 was when the transition took into powerlifting. So initially went into the gym to get more explosive for my sprinting. And then I think my dad taught me the fundamentals of the squat, bench and deadlift. I think he had his eye on me since I was a kid, because I don't know if they were just using me, but basically...
So for the non-gymmers of us, that's sort of types of weightlifting.
Yeah, exactly. The squat is where you put the barbell on your back, you squat down below parallel, stand up. The deadlift is basically the weight on the floor, equivalent to about a baby elephant. I can lift it. And the bench press is, most guys know about the bench press, so it's when you lie down, do the bench. I can bench about 6'2".
I know
rugby
about
man.
it, I'm not sure.
Rugby man. But so he taught me the fundamentals of squat, bench and deadlift. And as a child, he used to get me to carry the milk cartons in, you know, the heavy ones. And at 5 years old, he's like, this girl's got a bit of strength about her. But for me, within 3 months of having never lifted a weight, he entered me into my first competition. I was very much in my PE kit, a sixth form girl, 17 years old, and I did not know what was about to hit me. And I know that feeling of fear when it comes to like being underestimated again, because I remember walking into that competition space with my two older brothers by my side, twin brothers, and they're like quite built. They're like, "Are you two looking to compete today?" I was like, no, it's me. And I tell you, that lit a fire into me and probably led to this fury of like all my achievements of like, I never want to be underestimated again. And I always wanted to break any glass ceilings or shatter any ceilings about what it means to be a woman in strength sports. I ended up winning that competition, and like my PE kit didn't even have any proper equipment. So 3 months after that, so 6 months after never lifting a weight, I became British champion. And I never
Wow.
yeah.
But while you were excelling in sport, you also trained as an accountant.
Yes.
So tell us about how you marry those, I mean, like Clark Kentish.
Yeah, exactly. I just like to be in disguise, you know. I like to be kind of like in plain sight, I guess.
Suit
Yeah.
by day, gladiator tracksuit by night.
I can't promise I'm not wearing it underneath. So if anybody needs me, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think the way I married it is my parents always wanted me to be a very well-rounded individual. And unfortunately in powerlifting, I called it my very passionate hobby. There's no money in the sport. So I knew it could never be a career that could kind of project me like financially to look after myself.
So this is your sort of support.
Yeah, so I always called it my very glorified backup plan.
Yeah.
My parents had different ideas. But no, I'm really happy that, you know, I've got the ACA, I had a scholarship.
Just the accounting
and
qualification.
Yeah, so the ACA and, you know, I had a scholarship with one of the big four firms. I worked there for 6 years. So I love the fact that I can kind of walk into spaces like this, and I've got vast experience of kind of being in those kind of fields, but also marrying that with the sporting side of me. But I had some very interesting days. Like I'd get up early in the morning, 6 a.m. I have to study. The ACA exams are no joke. So I had to study in the morning, 9 till about 5:36-ish. I'd be working in audit. If anybody works in audit, sometimes you're very much in the graveyard shift there. I'd be going into the gym for a few hours, you know, because I got permission to kind of like do that at that level. So training for the GB team, and then coming home probably about 8-9 o'clock, stuffing my face full of dinner, having a shower, back to studying, back to working, and I'd probably go to bed about 1 a.m. Don't follow my sleep schedule. But did that for about 5-6 years. So that's how I managed to do both.
And I mean, hearing you tell that story, do you think you learnt that discipline from sport, and what do you think you learnt from sport that helped you keep that mental strength? Because that's not an easy thing to do, especially as a young person.
Oh yeah, I was 19 at the time when I started this qualification.
Right.
So very, very young.
Friends are going out and partying, and actually you're living a...
Exactly. I think for me, because I've always been brought up with this kind of mindset, when I was younger, I'd be like, I want to be Olympic champion. I want to do all this. And I thought some people thought I was a bit crazy. So all those kind of things is like, my mindset has always been quite different. I know what I want, and it's always been very tunnel vision towards getting it. But I think it doesn't go without hard work. I see from my parents what it took them coming to this country, building a life for us children, wanting better for us. And like every single training session since I was 5 years old, my dad has been with me throughout that whole journey and coached me up to this kind of level. But yeah, it hasn't been easy. And I think some of the qualities as an athlete that you have, resilience, you know, having to get up early in the morning and training when everyone else is in bed and chilling, and I've got to get it done because my competition is definitely doing it. So I have that pressure on me. But I think it's just, I always say pressure is a privilege. I love to thrive under that kind of pressure. And some of that kind of, when you're on the Great British stage at the World Championships in front of, you know, a big audience, and they're saying, you know, bar loaded, which means I'm about to try and set a PB, and you're going out there and you're like best. Literally like personal best, sorry, talking gym language. Basically going out there and lifting something that I've never done before. It takes a lot of grit, a lot of determination, but I know all the hard work, all the training, all the hours are the same kind of qualities that I married into my ACA, and kind of like same mindset that I had to use for both.
It's amazing to see. I want to bring Afia and Craig in on this shortly, but is there anything that you can leave the audience with in terms of, you know, that mindset that you've taken from sport and applied to business?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think what I would say to the audience is, you know, don't be afraid to chase your dreams. I think often when it comes to, there comes a time in your career when you're like, where am I going to position myself? Where am I going to focus? And especially I'm Indian from a South Asian background, it's very easy to be pushed into the academic route, focus on your education, you don't want any distractions. And I'm lucky to have had parents that were so open-minded that encouraged me to have other pursuits. And I'm not telling everyone to be the next gladiator or contender. If you want it, go for it. And I'd love to see you there. But I think it's just go for your dreams, go for your passions. Because whenever I went for interviews, I tell you, I talked more about the powerlifting than the job, because it's lovely to be a well-rounded individual, have other qualities, because I always think everyone has the first class degree, they have the kind of the different academic qualities, but what extra can you bring? The person that can do something outside their hobbies to that kind of elite level must be a different kind of caliber of individual. And whatever it be, whatever your passions are, don't be afraid to go for it. And it's never too late, if you hear it from my mum's story, to go for what you want in life.
Absolutely extraordinary story. Thank you for sharing it.